Hello YouTube fans, this is TheSkullKlown. I want to talk about the movie Dune. I just watched, not the original, I haven't really watched the original. This is just a casual person that doesn't really know a lot about Dune, alright? But I've always been intrigued of it. I remember seeing the original trailer. Obviously I was born in the 90s, so obviously it took a while for me to see that trailer, since once the internet came about and stuff like that. But I'll tell you this. Um, I've always been intrigued of I've always been intrigued of what it is, just the word Dune. I was just like, oh, what's this? And then you see the poster of it. You have like spaceships. If you look at that poster, spaceships and stuff like that. You even got one of the Twin Peaks characters there. I remember when I saw that poster, I'm like, this guy's from Twin Peaks. Holy shit! And I found out that that was like his first movie, which makes sense. But I always liked the actor. He could be cheesy in some moments, but and be serious in other moments. I've seen him do that type of work, basically. But that's not it. This is the remake, Dune 2021 actually, and I am watching the part two, but I'm not finished with it yet, so I can't really give full my thoughts on it. I was gonna talk about one and two, after I watched both of them back to back. Which is probably insane to do because these movies are 2 hours long, so it's basically 4 hour long movie. Did you know that the original Doom, before we got the original Doom, was going to be 14 hours long? I would have watched it. I would have watched it, to be honest with you. Before they change and we got the Doom that we have now, basically. So again, I have done a little bit of research on Doom, just not a lot. But you could tell those sandworms, you could tell the people that made the Tremors movies, they were like, yeah, we're using that. You can't make this shit up. Look at Tremors, and you mean to tell me anything that you see from those worms? You mean to tell me they weren't the Tremors were not the inspirations from them, basically? Like the people that made Tremors, they probably were like, yeah, we got to use those sandworms from Doom, and we're gonna make it our own thing and shit like that. You could tell. You could tell it is. And I do want to talk about the sandworm too, because the sandworm is very iconic, very very iconic. Um, if I talk about it in a spiritual enlightenment way with that, then it's technically supposed to be the serpent Kundalini, basically. But I'm not getting too deep into that. Um, you know, but if I did, I'll be here all day. So this movie starts, uh, basically almost with a treaty, I believe, right? Um. Sorry, guys. This movie's like 2 hours long, and so many things happen in this movie, man. So much lore, so much, so much of the world is explored in this movie, and so is the original, from what I can see. I seen reviews of the original. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's kind of like the first movie, but then you have the second movie shoved in there, and then I guess the third movie shoved in there. So it's like a whole. So it's like a hot, like the original Dune from 1934, I believe, or 1935 had like basically a hodgepodge of like three movies in one, basically. But I mean, people look like they're having fun, a blast in that movie, to be quite honest with you. So one day I will watch the original, but as of right now, I watch the remake because I was just like, hey, might as well watch the remake, mainly because, well, I wanted to get into this series, and apparently there's more Dune movies from the original 1980s, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but because there's some reason when I looked at posters of the original Doom, I see like basically like sequels to it. I could be wrong, but again, I'm still new to this, so correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could look it up right now. Actually, let's see. Let's see. So let me start with the movie right now. So basically, there's like a peace treaty, right? And the main character named Paul. Where's Paul? Where's Paul? Yo, I was waiting. I was waiting for me to say that line because I feel like the main character was going to go through something, and then I was going to be like, "Where's Paul?" But couldn't happen. Maybe what happened in part two. If you have watched part two, don't spoil it for me. But they talk about how the Emperor is and stuff like that. If you watch Star Wars or anything like that, I think you will fit right in and you get the gist of what's happening. Batista in this movie, part one, I don't know if he's in part two, but Batista in this movie, holy fucking shit, man. Great acting, man. Great acting from this guy. Like, there's one part in the whole movie that he's like, oh, like, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't watched it, but anyways, this whole thing that they live in this planet, right? It's a desert wasteland, all right, and they need to have a there's something of this spice. That's what it is. It's a spice that they're are really into and stuff like that, and spice is very important, you know. And I love how they explain how to get water, you know, like you use sweat to get water, basically, or they drain you out when you die. Kind of reminds me of Turbo Kid. If you guys seen Turbo Kid, it's kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of funny that Turbo Kid did that. I remember when I first saw that in the remake of Doom, and I'm over here like, huh, is that in the original? Yes, it is. So I think it's so cool that a lot of this is happening, and I don't want to call this a review. I'm just going to call this my thoughts and my opinions. Obviously, that's why I always put that title on. I never put reviews and stuff like that because how can I review this movie? Because again, so many things happen to it. So many things happen in this movie, and so many good characters too. Like what is it, Jason Momoa in this movie? Not really a big fan of him or anything like that. I mean, I don't hate him in the. I like him in the Aquaman movies, but he's not the go-to actor for me, basically, you know. But he's good in this movie. He is. And when Paul is having visions of like all of this stuff that's happening or what's going to happen, it's just really cool. You know, oh man, the art style for this movie is so fucking good. That's one of the reasons why I was so attracted to it when I first saw the original Dune, the poster basically. And I was just like, wow, that's just inviting me in, intriguing me and shit like that. Kind of like what other stuff have done too, you know, obviously. Um, and and it's cool too because I've been learning more about John Carter, aka John Carter from Mars. I've been looking more of the history on that one, and I do want to see the John Carter movie. It's literally on Disney Plus, so I might make a review about that too. Um, but without that book, none of these won't exist. Doom, Tarzan, Star Wars, superhero movies, Wonder Woman, none of these won't exist without John Carter of Mars. And I think that's fucking awesome in my opinion when you research a lot of this stuff, you know. Because sometimes, you know how sometimes in movies you don't research a lot, but then when you want to get into the series, you research so much, you'll be like, holy shit, you know. So sorry, let's go back to the movie. Eventually, um, there's like these nuns, right? There's like these nun characters, basically. They fucking look like the Skeksis, I swear. I fucking swear. Yeah, you could barely see them through their hoodie and shit like that. I'm like, that's a Skeksis. That, have you seen the show The Strain? Yeah, it's almost like that. With those freaking, freaking vampires and shit like that. And could we just say Paul's mom is smoking hot? Holy fucking shit. Holy shit. The character's fucking crazy though. She is. She's fucking crazy. Um, and again, I saw a little bit of the second one, so not a lot, but enough to be like, this bitch just became crazy, you know. Because in the second one, it's just really getting really, really good and shit like that. But this first movie, she really wants to protect her son. She does, and the Dawn, not the Dawn, you know, Don King basically. The was it Paul's dad is another great character. I think the actor that plays Paul's dad is really, really cool. I always liked that actor, and I still want him to do Moon Knight season 2. Disney, the hell is wrong with you? Bring him back. I don't know what. Look, I didn't look at the whole thing of the situation between him and Disney, but if he's still doing movies like Dune and stuff like that, it can't be that bad, basically, you know? You know? Because you know how these Hollywood people are getting exposed nowadays, you know? Someone will hear like, is it that? Or is it something else? Is it really Disney's fault? I blame, I would say yes. But, because nowadays it's always Disney's fault. The sky is falling, Disney's fault. No. Doom failed, Disney's fault. But, so, you get a lot of, highlights of obviously the whole world of this of Dune, basically. And I love how they travel around in the freaking sand and desert and shit like that, and you can literally feel the fucking heat in this movie. You can feel the atmosphere in this movie, man. It is so good. And then the native people, I'm still trying to learn the names and everything like that, so forgive me for that. But the native people in Dune, oh, so cool. So fucking cool. And then they pay respects to the freaking worm serpent, and they look at it as like a god, basically. You know, it's so cool. It's so fucking badass. And then you have Paul basically being like almost the Messiah. And then the native people look at him, not all of them, but some of them are like, why should we look at you as the Messiah? You know, that's the thing. They didn't have to explain this shit. They didn't have to explain it because movies don't have to explain a lot of shit. You could just see what's happening. You'd be like, oh, okay. For example, you know how everyone was looking at Paul and there was like, no, he's not the Messiah. But then you think in the back of your head that these people technically worship a serpent that's in their land, basically. They learn about the desert. They learn about these worms and shit like that. It's so cool, in my opinion. I think it's fucking badass and shit like that. But the fact that the movie really didn't point out was saying that, yeah, you see these native people, they're paying their respects to that worm, but some of them, not to say none of them don't do, but when they look at Paul as the Messiah, some of them, they'll be like, oh my God, look at him. But then the other ones are over here like, no. And then it makes you think of like, okay, they technically already have a Messiah because it's the fucking goddamn worm itself, you know? That's what I'm thinking, basically. That's the thing that kind of conveys when you see the movie. And I fucking love that. And the best part is they don't say it at all. It's all about how the characters react, how the movie goes with its different stages of character progression. It's just so good. Zendaya is in this movie, but she's not that long in this movie. I know a lot of people, ever since she did Spider-Man, a lot of people just hated her for some reason. Seriously. Like, people imagine Mary Jane to be this hot model goddess, like Wonder Woman. And I'm over here like, guys, that is, like, I'm over here looking at it, like, guys, this is what modern MJ would look like. Sorry. Like, in this society, basically. You know? Seriously. You know? I never got the hate for her being MJ. You know? Oh, she's not hot. She's acting all this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather have that from MJ than what we got in the Tobey Maguire version. I mean, she was fine in the first movie. The second movie, Peter, leave the bitch. Leave the bitch. The third movie, you guys need fucking counseling and never fucking talk to each other again. But then you watch the Spider-Verse and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is like, oh, we got a few things together and stuff like that. And I'm over here like, that's cool. I like that. But you guys still got, a thing. But at the same time, you're just thinking, that shit's toxic as fuck. So that's a little side note of me with the Zendaya actress and stuff like that. But I think she's fine here. I mean, she's not here for that long, obviously. It's mostly just Paul going through the cycles to basically find the Emperor. The Emperor! I haven't mentioned the Emperor. My God! The Emperor is so badass, intimidating, scary, basically. Imagine taking Vader and the Emperor from Star Wars and mushing them together in a way. Or basically it's this. You know how Emperor Palpatine was like in a fucking goddamn a chair in the last Star Wars movie with Skywalker and shit like that? I didn't even watch that movie, but I know that did happen because I've seen clips of it. And technically that's funny too, because when I saw that, it actually inspired for one of my villains to be that way in the future when I make a sequel to one of my video games. So look at that. Even if I never put it in my video game, I can always put it on something else, But I just think it's really, really cool of like this villain is this freaking it's like he has a machine attached to him and he's like floating and stuff like that. And Batista is his nephew. I thought they were like, father and son, but technically you're not wrong. Just because one's a nephew, one's the uncle, doesn't mean they don't share like a bond of father and son, you know? For crying out loud, look at the whole thing with Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, Uncle Phil always, by the end of the series, Uncle Phil looks at Will and he says, "You are my son." Plain and simple, you know? Just so good. Again, good line. Good fucking line with these actors. And then in this movie, you get in this line, again, going back, Batista, oh man, when he's on the screen, he chews it up. He chooses, like, this movie loves Batista, basically. You know? And then Batista loves this movie, you know? And I love the poster. The poster for this movie is badass. It is badass. Seriously. So let me look at, I was gonna, let's do this. Dune sequel. Now again, I haven't read the books to Dune. I'm sure they're different from the movie and stuff like that. Oh, hold on. Sequels, motherfucker. Okay, sorry. Sequels to Dune 1980, not June. Hold on, I guess I have to type this down because the voice thing doesn't fucking do anything for me. Seriously. But, Christopher Walken is in part 2 of Dune. When I saw that in the opening, I'm all like, Christopher Walken? Oh, I started losing my shit because I'm over here like, oh man, I want to hear some jokes now from this guy talking about the sand, worms in the desert. You know, some of these actors, when you see them in the movie, you always hear like, this has to be a comedy, right? Please tell me this is a comedy. Please tell me this is a parody. But it's not. They take it very seriously because it is serious. You know, they're having fun with it though. They are. These actors are having fun. You can tell they're having fun. And you're having fun too. This movie is really, really good. So, and every time the movie kept going, I just put a smile on my face and stuff like that. I will talk about the ending of part 2. Part 1, not part 2. Part 1. Sorry about that. Dune series. There's a series? No, most likely there is. There's a lot of series of that. Did you know there's a series of Did you know there was a series? Well, actually, no, a television movie of John Carter, basically. Let's see, 1984. Okay, it says it right here. Then why I was seeing a whole bunch of posters of like Dune sequels or some shit. See, this is why I had to look shit up. This is why we look shit up. I don't want to give you guys false information. Okay, so I think I have seen Children of Dune. I think I have seen that one. Because the actor that is in that poster here, that did the X-Men, I can't remember his name. This looks familiar. This looks freaking familiar. And I've heard the story about Children of Dune, and I'm over here like, wow. That sounds really fucking cool. And I would love to see a fucking movie like that. Just hearing the concept of how Children of Dune is, I'm over here like, make a fucking movie. Make a fucking movie. Why we got these two? Make this one. I'm dead serious. That's just me. Sometimes when I hear a better idea than what we got on screen, I'm over here like, then why we got this one? You could do this one later. Fuck this shit. But is this the part 2 poster? It is the part 2 poster. The part 2 poster is badass. It is. The part 2 poster is really badass. Not to say the first one is like badass. I like this first poster here that they have here. So I might just get these 2 movies because I enjoy the first one a lot. So again, I forgot what's might as well look it up right now since I'm already here. So Paul's mom is basically you kind of feel sorry for her in this movie because, again, she tries to protect her son, and they found out that her son is like the Messiah, and they're like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want people like you, basically. You know? So, Lady Jessica, see, that's why I knew. That's why I had a fucking, you know, that's what I was thinking. Because I knew I had the name right, but I just had to look it up. But Lady Jessica, like, you feel sorry for her in this movie, man. You really do. But she's really good. in this movie. The actress, she's just really good. And it's literally just an adventure movie with a son and a son and what was it what is it, a mother and her son, basically. And you don't see that a lot nowadays in some movies now, you know. But but this got some good actors here. Fucking freaking Thanos is in this movie, and he's good. He's really good in this movie. Every time I hear his voice, I just can't think of it. I'm like, this guy's about to fucking use his finger snap soon. You know. So, and the actor that plays Paul, I want to get into this. I know a lot of people don't see him as, you know, a probably good casting choice. I did like seeing him in Wonka. I thought he was good in that movie. It captured the imagination aspect of Willy Wonka, which was great. But in this movie, I thought he was fine. I thought he was fine. You know, him training, with some of his people, basically, was really cool in the beginning of the movie and stuff like that. And it was just really a fun ride to see his progression. His what is it? Hero's journey. It's really fucking good in my opinion. And then it keeps going in the second one, obviously. So I will talk about the second one when I do talk about it. But let's get to the ending. I don't want to spend too much here. But let's get to the ending of the movie. If there was going to be a flaw that I had with this movie, it's that part of the movie. And then all of a sudden, it just ends. Like, he meets Zendaya. They, something happens. You know, one of the guys that with Zendaya's people is like, no, we're not going over. I'm not going where he's at. Fuck these people, basically. And Paul and is he here? Paul and some native dude go out and freaking fight death to death, basically. And it's funny too because Paul's getting these visions of what's going to happen to him, basically. I don't want to spoil you that, but if you haven't watched the movie, but then he's like looking at it, but it's funny too. It does, like, he looks at it, but then when you look at the second one, basically, especially if you watch the original, I've seen clips and all that of the original, so I'm pretty sure that some of the stuff that I saw in the original is going to be in part two. So when I saw basically the ending of the original movie, yeah, that's what happens when you see reviews and clips and all that over the years, guys. Sorry. I looked at that scene and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's probably going to be like that, you know. And it just got me remembering when I saw that scene. I'm like, oh, okay. Basically, if you guys know what I'm talking about, how the original ending is, and then when you see this part one of Doom of the remake, you'd be like, oh, okay. And then if you saw the second one, you'd probably be like, now it all goes to full circle, basically, because something happens here that you think that's going to happen, but it doesn't happen, but later on will happen. You just think that's going to happen to that fucking person, but it doesn't, you know? So, that's not a flaw. I'm not saying that's really good. Again, going back, the only type of flaw that I had was literally once that thing happened, they walk off to the sunset, basically saying, hey, you want to ride out those worms? And the movie ends. And I'm over here like, I mean, I loved it. I liked the movie, but you just ended. You know? It's like they were forced to freaking cut this into two parts because no one is not going to watch a 4-hour movie. Even though there's 4-hour movies out there, to be quite honest with you. Wasn't the Justice League movie 4 hours? The Snyder cut? Am I wrong about that? I watched that whole thing without fucking going to sleep. When I watched it with with some of my friends and shit like that, by like an hour or two. Not to say I wasn't falling asleep at the end, but I'm like, this movie's almost done anyways. After this, I'm going straight to bed, you know. But so that's the end. For the ending of Dune, you get this pretty good choreographed fight scene. It's like this big it's like this big huge thing that happens. There is a part when the Emperor's people, I believe, attacks Paul's people and stuff like that. It's like this big giant thing that happened and shit like that. At first I thought it was the natives, But no, it wasn't, you know, so I almost got confused with that. But again, the fucking villain, the Emperor in this movie is really fucking cool. I think he's really, really cool. And judging how I saw the ending from the original movie, I'm over here like, is he gonna die that way? I mean, it'd be hilarious, but I think they're gonna do a different ending. You know, just to make the original feel more stand out, and then the remake could be like, you got your ending, we got ours. You know, which is fine, which is fine. But if they do the same ending, I mean, I'm not gonna be heartbroken about it. So I do feel like the original Doom that came out in the '80s is basically what do they call it with the Friday the 13th remake? A what is it? A series of no highlight of the whole series basically. You know, the whole franchise. I think that's what the movie. I can't really explain it. I think you guys can explain it better than me and shit like that. Just thinking about other stuff with this movie. So the special effects in this movie is really really good. I love the lighting in this movie. I love the cinematography in this movie is really good, and the design in this movie is so fucking well done. It is. The design of this movie is really well done, and then the whole scene with the worms. I gotta mention that with the worms before I go back to the ending here. The whole scene with the worms at night. I'm over here like they're I'm literally screaming at the screen because when they're literally pressing on the freaking ground, making noise, I'm over here like, what are you doing? You have a fucking tremor living in your fucking planet. Stop fucking provoking it. The hell's wrong with y'all people? You know? Oh, man. But this is one scene that this some lady sacrifices herself, basically. Because these because the Emperor's goons come in and start and was gonna attack her and shit like that, and she was just like, and that was an epic scene though. I was just like, yes, sister, yes, bring him out, bring that serpent out, basically. That's what I'm saying. I can't talk about this movie in a spiritual light way because how can you not look at that and be like, look at that? It took a sister to wake up a serpent. Oh, God, man. You can't make this enlightenment shit up here, man. It's just so fucking good, man. It is. It's really good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, so you're basically saying that, because when I mentioned that this movie is basically like a mother and son duo movie, people might be like, really? Are you going to really put that and tell people that? Well, yeah. I mean, when you watch the movie, what do you think it is? You know? And I still like the part when it's late at night and they're running from the worm. They're like, we gotta get to the rocks. And I'm like, Tremors, here it is. Tremors is blushing right now because I just got out of a whole series of movies of watching Tremor, and I was just hungry more for Tremors. And seeing this movie satisfied my appetite. And I'm still not full. I want to see more, baby. I want to see more, you know? Oh, man. A little side note, though. I heard the Tremors TV show just deflates you. And I'm just like, so it's better not to watch that at the end of the movie series. Yeah, just watch it after part 3. And I'm like, okay. So when I do rewatch this whole series again of Tremors, then I'm definitely going to watch the TV series after I watch the 3rd movie, basically. I was even thinking adding Dune into the playlist of Tremors because it just fits right in. Literally. It just has its own lore and everything like that. It just takes place in another galaxy, another realm, another fucking planet. No one's going to complain about that, you know? So, I highly recommend watching this movie. This movie is fun. It really is. This movie knows what it is. There's so much lore in this movie. It's ridiculous, man. Even in the original movie, they had to do that shit. And the thing is, I could complain saying that there's too much lore in it, but some people might not complain about that at all, you know? The reason I say that is because sometimes people want to get things going, basically, you know? They want you to freaking be like, all right, I get it. Can we get to the fucking part already that you guys are hyping up like crazy, you know? And then in some movies, not all movies, but some movies, when you get to that point, it's not even fucking worth it. You'd be like, what was the point of hyping that up? And then you did it, and then it's nothing. You know, it's a nothing burger, you know, which sucks, which is the worst thing you could do in a movie. But it doesn't happen here, in my opinion. I think it's perfectly fine of the length, in my opinion. That's just me. But again, they have to make it this length because there's so much lore into it, man. This is a sci-fi fantasy movie. Yeah, sci-fi adventure. It's a sci-fi adventure. I'm sure it's also fantasy, but you can literally, because I've seen videos when people say that, hey, it's fine if a horror movie or action movie is about, you know, an hour long, you know, maybe superheroes might be closer to maybe a little bit 2 hours, but then they stop once they hit the 2 hour mark and we're like, all right, we're done. We already went that long. We don't have to go longer. But this movie was just like, hold my beer, we're almost 3 hours long, bitch. And it is. This movie is almost 3 hours long. It is. That's why I still haven't watched Oppenheimer, because that movie is actually almost 3 hours long. Or, in fact, yeah, about 3 hours long. Yeah. Not to say I don't want to watch the movie, but this movie is about 2 hours and 35 minutes. So almost 3 hours, yeah. Still a fun ride of this movie. It really is. It's still a fun ride. I will talk about a little bit of the second one, since, you know, might as well give you what I saw in the beginning of this movie. So, Lady Jessica, in the first movie, she's pregnant. And then in the second movie, she drinks this bottle, and then she gets blue eyes, like the native people, right? And then they find out she's pregnant. That scene when the people that believe in the Messiah, and then people that are they're still native people, but the other native people that are looking at them found that out, they freaked the fuck out. They were pissed and shit like that. They were talking in their own tongue and shit like that. And you just see Paul with his mom and just looking at him, and he's just listening in the background of these people. You know, they even talk shit about his mother, and he doesn't do anything. Me, I'm over here like I'm over here looking at it. I'm like, someone's gonna get killed here. Someone's gonna get killed. You don't talk about someone's mama like that. No, I'm dead serious. You know, they go so hard on Paul. They really do. Him and his mother. You know, in the first movie they were like, well, we do need Paul, but for you, a woman, you're basically worthless. Not because she's a woman, but they just see her as, what's the point of you, basically. Like, we see him as a value, but what are you bringing value to us, basically? It's like that. And it's kind of fucked up, you know? And then I'm over here saying, guys, just tell her that she's pregnant. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely fucking goddamn nothing. Until you go to part 2. Again, I haven't went very far in part 2. But again, I am having a blast. I think part 2 is better than part 1. All right, you get this scene of what they do with the water, when their people are dead, basically. It almost reminds me of the Egyptians, of how they mummify people, basically, like that. I remember when I saw that scene, I'm like, oh, it's like the Egyptians, you know. So then again, these scenes are so fucking good, guys. This, like, I'm happy I became a fan. I'm happy that I'm into this shit now. Seriously. Like, now, after these 2 movies, after I'm done with the second movie, I gotta watch the remake. I mean, the original. Sorry about that. I gotta watch the original. I have heard there's gonna be a part 3 of Dune. I don't know if that's 100% true. But, let me know. Let me know. If there is gonna be a third one. That's why I mentioned before in this video that the original is almost like a hodgepodge of like 3 movies together, you know? That's why I mentioned that, because it's like, well, I heard that there could be another third one, so is what we see in the original going to be part of that aspect, basically? That's just me. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys. Be safe. Tell me what you guys think about the Doom 2021 remake. And were you satisfied with it, basically? Again, I can't talk about a lot about Doom 2 because, again, I just watched what I just told you, basically, a little bit at the end there. So, I liked it. I like what I'm seeing right now, to be quite honest with you. Again, I'm just like, holy shit, guys. Like, this shit is fucking cool. It is, it's cool. Um, I think my friend saw this movie too, but I don't think he's watched the second one. And the thing is too, I would not disagree with people if they don't want to watch a 2 hour movie, basically, and then watch part two, which is another 2 hours. You know? I can't blame people like that. Because nowadays, a lot, not to say you can't hold people's attention span. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people like a fast paced movie. And I've seen movies that are 2 or 3 hours long, and, well, almost 3 hours, and it goes really fast, and you're here like, this is it? This is over? Holy shit. And that's how I felt with this movie, Dune, the very first one, part one. But by the end, when we got into the fight scene at the end, I'm over here looking at the timestamp, and I'm over here like, this is it? This is it? This is the final scene you guys were using? What? You know? But I didn't hate it. I was just questioning it. I'm like, guys, you could probably use something else to put this scene. You probably could use something else, but hey, that's just me. Again, I haven't read the books. So maybe they could have done something and then sprinkle one thing that's part of the book and then leave on from there. But then the movie would have been literally almost 3 hours long. You know, like for example, if they had 2 hours and about 45 minutes, we probably could have got something extra. You know, because I thought this movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes. But no, it's 2 hours and 35 minutes. So there is that. Yeah, so I'll see you guys later. I don't know if I'm going to watch the second one right away. Because there's just other stuff that I want to see right now. But I will watch Dune. I will. Because part two is on Netflix. They did have part one on Netflix, but then they took it out when Dune 2 was about to become to Netflix. I don't get why Netflix. That makes no sense. Are you serious? You had part one right there, and then you saying it's leaving soon, and then all of a sudden you're promoting Dune 2, and you're like, oh, it's coming soon. And I mean, it's already there. But when I saw that shit, I'm over here like, you mean to tell me you couldn't keep the rights for both of these movies? You guys can't cough up the money to keep Dune 1 on Netflix? What? I had to go to Tubi. And how many ads I had to see on fucking Tubi? Oh, God. I'm telling you guys, I hate fucking ads. I really do. Yes, you can pay for it. Basically, Tubi is free. You can pay for the ads if you don't want to see them. But it comes to the point that it ruins the flow of the movie for me. Alright? That's why it took a while for me to watch a lot of part one, basically. You know, it took me probably 2 or 3 days to watch part one. Not because it's long as fuck, it's because they're fucking goddamn commercials. Seriously. Another thing that I had to complain about that too, on Peacock with the Twisted Metal series. Too much fucking goddamn commercials. And I fucking hated that shit. That's what ruined the flow of that show. And that's why a lot of people stopped watching that show, just because of those fucking commercials. Luckily, my friend had a website that there was no commercials and shit like that. So we watched all of that shit without commercials. And it was good. It flowed better. It was better. You know? So when I do get this movie and I rewatch it again, I guarantee you it will have such a better flow. Seriously. And I know people will agree with me with that because it's just stupid. And many people will agree with me. Commercials ruin a pace of a fucking movie, depending what movie it is. Kind of like when I was... All the Tremors movies that I saw on YouTube are free and no commercials. Thank fucking God. So, sorry I went on a tangent there, guys. I'll see you guys later. Be safe, seriously. Tell me what you guys think about Dune Part 1. And since I talked about a little bit about 2, give me your thoughts, a little bit of the beginning of Part 2 or what I mentioned. Don't give the whole spoilers. But at least be like, oh, okay, you're in that scene? Then, oh, man, I can't wait for you to see this scene, you know? So, something that we can all discuss and talk about and shit like that. I like this movie. I really do. Maybe over time I'll literally fall in love with it like crazy. But not to say I don't hate it. I like this movie. And I like how the poster literally says, "It begins, Dune." Oh, so good. That's a good fucking poster right there. Seriously. So, I'll check you guys out later. Be safe.